Claude Opus 4.8 just dropped, and oh boy, is it a big change for me personally. Now, in this video, I'll be covering exactly what the major changes are. What exactly did Anthropic just announce? A couple of big things are coming, but the question that stands is 4.8 a really big deal on its own, or if it's just another token monster or something of that sort? In this video, I'll cover all the good, all the bad. I've been using it myself. I'll tell you guys exactly what I've been thinking about it. And also, over the past couple of hours since release, a lot of people have been trying it out and giving their opinion. I'll cover those as well. But as you can see, Opus 4.8 is in my own Claude right here, and I've been using it for a little bit. It's pretty interesting to see these results, so make sure you press that like button, and let's cover it. Now, the benchmarks as of this point look absolutely amazing, but that's what we expect, since of course we know that Anthropic has themselves an even better model with Mythos. It's not a question of will the numbers improve? It's a question of how close are we getting to Mythos, where it's not scary for every single one of our devices, every single one of our website passwords or whatever get hacked, but also on the opposite side, that it's actually a marginal improvement over, well, the alternative, which recently was GPT 5.5. So take a look at the numbers. As it currently stands, Opus 4.8 is a pretty crazy increase on agentic coding, multidisciplinary reasoning, agentic computer use, knowledge work, and agentic financial analysis. The last point is actually what a lot of people have been talking about over the past week or so, that Opus 4.7 was apparently pretty freaking good at this financial analysis, and that now, with their most recent update 4.8, this is probably the biggest game changer for what I personally use Claude for. Now, having said that, recently, on almost every single number, these benchmarks don't really reflect it, but GPT 5.5 was basically the winner. Now, on at least some of these numbers right here, Opus 4.8 absolutely took over, with agentic coding going from 64.3 to 69.2. And I like how they put this scorecard here in. They actually left in a specific scorecard where from 4.7 to 4.8, the agentic terminal coding went from 66.1 to 74.6%, which is an absolute crazy increase, sure, but GPT 5.5 still wins. Now, one additional cool thing I like about AI in the most recent world is if you've got a freaking 244-page report here about Claude Opus 4.8 system card, you can actually insert this entire document into Claude and ask it what the biggest highlights are. But actually, they've got an executive summary here as well, which lists the following points. Now, before I move on, make sure you join our school. Link is down below. It's absolutely free. And over the next couple of hours, I'll also release a nice PDF with all the major changes in this 4.8 update, and more importantly, over the next couple of days, I'll release a little update sheet or whatever I found the major differences to be, and whether or not it's actually worth it to use 4.8 right here, or to stick with GPT 5.5. I'm gonna say the most important of which is the cyber evaluations part, and even though this is not your game changer in your day-to-day tasks, right, the biggest question that all of us had was, how close are we to Mythos on, like I said earlier, game-breaking stuff, just me not being able to use my freaking websites anymore because all my passwords are hacked. And they basically said if they've got some restrictions in place, it's pretty much similar to Opus 4.7. No restrictions, it's marginally better, but not that big a deal in comparison to Mythos still. And again, their conclusion at the end basically being that even though it's definitely better on almost every single front than Opus 4.7, it's still worse than Mythos Preview. And so the way I like to cover these type of updates is first kind of cover what's really new, what's being announced and what is it supposed to be, and then somewhere in the middle of that we go over into what exactly is the community consensus, and is it actually worth changing from GPT 5.5, and more importantly, is it actually even better, and talking about that in a cost-effective way, than 4.7, or really, and this is kind of controversial, but then 4.6. Most of the people I know really didn't need 4.7, as 4.6 was the one. 4.7 didn't really change the workflows at all. It just made things more expensive, is what a lot of people I've spoken to have said. And so the question now becomes, is 4.8 where this kind of shifts around, or is it again the situation as I just mentioned it, which is that it's just going to increase our costs for every single token usage basically, and not really help the workflows at all, or at least not enough that it's worth it to switch, or that it's actually nice to have to upgrade. So a couple of new updates we got on the side were dynamic workflows. This feature, available in Research Preview, allows Claude to take on even bigger tasks in Claude Code. Pretty freaking nice. Effort control in Claude AI and co-work. This is actually the biggest change for me. There was never effort control outside of code, and that basically allows you to put in a bit more tokens for Claude to actually think deeper. And since I actually use code work quite a lot rather than just only using code, it's very nice to have this flexibility to be able to also control the effort values. And also, the messages API now accepts system entries inside the message array, which is basically for any of my devs out there. Developers can now update Claude's instructions mid-task without breaking the prompt cache or routing the update through a user turn. This can be used in a given harness to update permissions, token budgets, or environment context as an agent runs, which is pretty cool. Now, this is again coming from Anthropic themselves, but Opus 4.7 will default to high effort. And supposedly, this is the best balance overall, but more importantly, on these coding tasks, this effort level spends a similar number of tokens as Opus 4.7's default, but with better performance. So users can choose extra high if they want to, or max, and the model will spend more tokens, but apparently, as a baseline, it will use the same amount of tokens for better outputs. We'll have to see if that's really true or not. Now, as kind of a conclusion, they basically said, what is next and upcoming? What is next for Claude? What is next for Opus? Apparently, they're still looking to find a balance between Mythos and, well, I'm going to say any sort of next number, or let's just call it 4.8 here, somewhere in the middle, that basically makes your output better while keeping the same cost, because I'm thinking that that's really the main thing holding them back. Is that if you want to also marginally increase how good the output is, the costs are going to drastically increase. But apparently, and this I think is the biggest part of this release actually, this will go over most people's heads, but I think it's an absolutely massive thing. Apparently they want to shift from Opus. It says right here, not only that, but we plan to release a new class of model with even higher intelligence than Opus as part of Project Glasswing. A small number of organizations are currently using Claude Mythos Preview for cybersecurity work. Models of this capability level require stronger cyber safeguards before they can generally be released. We're making swift progress on developing those safeguards and expect to be able to bring Mythos class models to all our customers in the next coming weeks. Okay, that's a pretty freaking big deal. Now, if you're talking about the cost, $5 million or $5 per million input tokens and $25 per million output tokens. For fast models, it's $10 million and $50 million respectively. Developers can now use Claude Opus 4.8 via Claude API as well. And if you're asking Anthropic what the biggest change was between 4.7 and 4.8, they basically said it's actually in a word called honesty. They train all their models to be honest, for instance, to avoid making claims that they don't support, which is a very big issue when using Opus for sure. But a general problem with AI models is that they sometimes jump to conclusions, confidently claiming to have made progress in their work despite the evidence being thin. Early testers have reported that Opus 4.8 is more likely to flag uncertainties about its work and less likely to make these unsupported claims, and this is born out of the evaluations. Now, this is all cool and all, right? And misaligned behavior apparently has dropped by a pretty good penny, getting almost to a similar level as Mythos Preview. Let's see what Reddit has to say about this, because I'm personally telling you right now, it's very mixed. And we'll see over the next couple of hours, as this just came out a few hours ago, how much of a difference this really will be in users' actual use cases. But here's the TLDR of what the 320 comments have said, talking about the 4.8 update, again, in the first few hours. Matter of fact, this is basically in the first hour or so, as this was posted 5 hours ago, and it came out 6 hours ago. So, the general vibe here is, hooray, new model. But actually less of that, more rather than, please, for the love of all that is holy, don't take away Opus 4.6. The consensus is overwhelmingly skeptical, bordering on actually hostile. The community is clearly still traumatized by the 4.7 update, which most users consider a massive downgrade. The news that 4.8 builds on 4.7 has gone down like a lead balloon. So there's the cult of 4.6, and everyone is basically terrified that they can't use Opus 4.6 no more, the subreddit's beloved gold standard. Many are reporting it's already gone from their model list, while others can still access it, causing widespread panic and threats to switch to competitors. Now, they've also claimed of token error. The number one concern after losing 4.6 is how fast 4.8 will incinerate usage limits. Early reports are not comforting, with users claiming it's even more token hungry than 4.7, rendering the Pro plan a sampler at best, because you apparently can just use it for the simplest of simple things. And also benchmark blues. Nobody, and I really believe nobody, trusts the actual benchmarks here. Even I personally don't. The thing is, if every single one of the competitors is optimizing for benchmarks, I kind of feel you can trust them because they're all doing the same thing. And so if they're able to rank better on them, at least it means they've optimized something properly, right? But apparently the phrase, trust me bro, has been thrown out a lot, with users pointing out that 4.7 also had pretty good graphs before it disappointed a lot of people. I'm not going to say everyone. I'm still pretty happy with 4.7, even though I will say that it does just feel like a 4.6, but then more expensive. And Sonnet and Haiku are neglected here. Significant number of users wish Anthropic would focus on improving the cheaper models, which if you're using agents a lot, especially sub-agents, a lot of us are running Haiku and Sonnet all the time for all the other agents. Why are they being, pushed under the rug here? Another incremental Opus release, especially given the cost concerns. Why not make the Sonnet and Haiku better? Good question. Definitely a good question. And a lot of people indeed are just saying, hey, why not just make a better 4.6? Why make a better 4.7? Many people have switched to GPT 5.5. But I'll tell you like this. Is it better? Most likely. Right? On almost every single field, following the numbers, it looks better. And there's all these different rumors and people talking about the idea that now that 4.8 is here, you have to use it differently. By the way, I just updated my own Claude and it is indeed here. I've still got access to 4.6 though, so I guess that is quite nice here. Just to put it into perspective, it is still there. Kind of crazy how Sonnet is still on 4.6 and Haiku is still 4.5. They really are neglecting those. But I'm going to say again as a conclusion for myself how I'm going to use it differently and why I'm actually quite happy with this update. It's really mostly the effort values in every single piece of Claude. If you're using chat, you've now got effort values. If you're using cowork, you've now got effort values. If you're using code, you already had effort values, but apparently they're now slightly more efficient. There's a couple other things that users have reported. For example, that now, whenever you give it a task, less sub-agents will spawn. But more importantly, that it'll actually reason better or more honestly before spawning said sub-agents or before spawning any tool tasks or tool usage. These could all be minor cost efficiencies or betterings or whatever you want to call it as well. And if you want another update, a deeper update, whatever, make sure you join our school. I've linked it down below, which is a platform where I'll be sharing my news, my tests, my prompts, every single thing, every single day. Just yesterday, I posted a couple of new tips, for example, how to connect your Claude to meta ads or how to connect your Claude to TradingView. If you want more tips of these sorts or my prompts, join our free school. Like I said, absolutely free. Just check it out with the link down below. And I'll also, over the next couple of days, explain in there how I've been, well, I guess liking Opus 4.8 right here. And I'll also leave a little field note thing or a little workshop or whatever, like a little PDF with all the major changes and where you may feel the difference. And more importantly, if for you it's worth it to switch. So check it out. Link is down below to our free school. You should definitely join us. It's a pretty cool little room for all of us. We're just 3 members thick. All right, so join it right now. Link's down below. And see you guys again in another video somewhere, hopefully tomorrow.